Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Aaron Ashman, and today we're back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about some of the intro credit cards that you could possibly start off with that I would recommend. And before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's video, let's talk about the Season of Giving. Polo Red by Ralph Lauren right now on discount. Retail price is $30, but today, or I think this will go on for another month, it's down to $17.89 available on Amazon right now. So go check it out. The link is in the description below. It will take you directly to the website, and you don't have to worry about anything after that. So anyways, now that that's out of the way, let's dive right into the topic. Intro credit cards. Some of the credit cards that you can start off with. So before I talk about this, let's talk about the two types of credit cards that exist. So the first type of credit card is the secured credit card. And the second is the, as you guessed, unsecured credit card. In this case, at least when it comes to credit cards, unsecured is preferred because of a lot of reasons, which you will find out shortly. So secured credit cards are credit cards which require you to pay a certain down payment. The reason they do this is because the banks don't know if you're trustworthy yet. So in case you default on any of your payments, they can take a certain amount of money out from your original deposit in order to compensate for that. That way they don't lose all their money in case you're not able to pay a single dollar back. So that's a secured credit card, and an unsecured credit card, on the other hand, has no such requirements. You don't put any money down. Banks just take all the liability on themselves, and that is why it's called an unsecured credit card. Now, the first thing that I should talk about today is one secured credit card that I would recommend to everybody, and that is the Capital One Platinum. Capital One Platinum, I think it's an amazing card. It is a secure credit card, however, so you will have to put a certain amount down, but whatever they ask for is not unreasonable at all, because it's only $50 that you deposit, and then they open up a credit line for you. It's just like purchasing a credit card. Think of it like that. You still pay whatever your statement is at the end of the month, but this is only a one-time thing. The deposit, you just pay $50, and then you can use your card for, for however long you wish to keep this card. So this is the number one thing that I would like to mention when it comes to secured credit cards. Now there's another secured credit card out there which has a very similar logo and it's a very similar font to Capital One. It's called Credit One. I'll write it down for you guys. So Credit One. Now, I'm not saying that Credit One is a scam. It's not. It's not a scam, because in every legal perspective, they have the right to do everything that they're doing. But there are some things that are illegal today, which are not necessarily right, and you'll understand this in a second. So, a normal credit card functions like this: you pay whatever you spend on it. So, at the end of the month, if I spent a dollar on something, you pay back $1. And Capital One Platinum, along with every other credit card, that's exactly what they do. But when it comes to Credit One, and I think they call it Credit One Platinum as well, when it comes to this bank, you start accumulating interest from the day you make a single transaction. And yes, this is on their direct fine print, but the reason I say this is not a scam is because Credit One, it is an actual bank. Like, it's a legitimate bank. But nonetheless, it is not a good option at all for starting off your credit report with. Because even if your statement balance is $1, if your principal balance was $1, by the end of the month, it could be compounded to $2 as possible. Now, let's talk about the next card. The next card that I would recommend is the Indigo Platinum MasterCard. Now, the Indigo Platinum MasterCard, I personally have never used it. but I have heard many reviews. My own sister uses it, as a matter of fact, and well, I mean, everything that I've heard about it and everything I've read up on it is amazing. The Indigo Platinum MasterCard has no such thing as a minimum credit score requirement, so there is an almost 95% chance that you will qualify for this card. Amazing. But of course, the reason they do this is because there are kind of harsh terms when it comes to getting these credit cards. And what I mean by that is the fixed APR. The fixed APR rate, it's at 22.99%, I believe. Maybe 23.99%, I'm not quite sure. I think it's 22.99%. Now, fixed APRs are usually a good thing, but this is the maximum APR that any bank charges you. So, in this case, it's probably not. And then, other than the fixed APR, they also have an annual fee depending on your credit score. It usually ranges from $0 to $99. Now, an annual fee, this is actually not bad, but most likely you're going to start off with $99 of an annual fee in case you're just starting out and you don't have a very good credit score. But this is also good for another thing. I know I said that these are intro credit cards. These are the intro credit cards that I would recommend. But nonetheless, this is one credit card that you can use regardless of whether or not you're just starting out with credit or not. In case you have a previous bankruptcy, they still consider your application, which most banks would not do. I mean, it is risky. If you have been through a bankruptcy, there's a very good chance that you will go through that again, but they are willing to take that risk, which is why this is another very good card that you can think about getting. Now, fixed APR. When it comes to APR, there are some things I think people don't understand about this. But I will explain the intricacies of APRs and how to calculate them in another video. It'll take me some time, but just for the sake of this video, this is the amount, the percentage that is charged as interest per year of your actual balance in case you don't pay off your balance every month. Now, this gets more complicated, but we're just going to leave it to that. So, Indigo Platinum MasterCard, definitely, regardless of what your credit score is, just try applying for this one. You'll most likely get approved. The next card that we're going to be talking about is a Milestone Gold card. So Milestone Gold, this is a very good card for building your credit because they report your credit report or your credit improvements to all the three major bureaus, credit bureaus. And that's why it's very good for accelerating your credit score. But again, a lot of cards do that. It's not just this one, but this takes into consideration low credit scores as well, which is why it's also a good thing. But nonetheless, this also has things or clauses in it that is similar to the Indigo. It's the fact that you have an annual fee, and unlike Indigo, it does not start off at $0. It actually starts off at $45 and goes all the way to $99. But if you're just starting out, don't let this scare you, because regardless of which one you go for, be it the Indigo or the Milestone Gold, you would still probably be starting out at $99 of an annual fee anyway. So if in case you get approved for this one, you get approved for Indigo, and if you get approved for both, then definitely get both. But in case you don't want to pay the annual fee twice, I suggest go for the Milestone Gold, because they have hands with more than one or just two of the bureaus. It has connections with three of the main bureaus. So the annual fee is one thing, and the other is the fixed APR again. The exact same APR as Indigo. I think it was 22.99%. And again, I'll explain the APR thing later, but this is Milestone Gold for you guys. This is slightly harder to get than the Indigo, because the Indigo takes into account a lot of things plus your credit score, but this has a slightly higher credit score acceptance. So in case you don't qualify for this, try the Indigo, or you can just try it with the Indigo. In case you qualify for that, you can just stick with it. Now, compared to the secured card that I just mentioned before, the difference between an annual fee and a deposit is that a deposit is a one-time thing. It's a $50 deposit, that's it. Annual fee you pay every single year, depending on your credit score, of course. But in this case, if you go for Milestone, you will at least have to pay $45 every single year that you keep it. So what people usually do is they keep this card for 2 or 3 years just to build up their credit. And after they get to a certain point of their credit, they disable these cards and they go for some higher end cards, which I'll be discussing in the next video and starting right now, actually. So the next card, in case you know that you have at least an intermediate credit score, something that's above a 620. A credit score that's above a 620 usually gets this one, but it's called the Discovery. Again, I myself don't have any experience using this card, but this card has a lot of good reviews, and this card is amazing for many different things. So let me start off with just number one. Oh, actually, this reminds me, one of my sisters actually uses this, and I think she's pretty satisfied with it. So you get 5% cashback. Now, cashback is something which I have not discussed yet, because none of these cards provide them, the ones that I've discussed so far. But this is the first card that you will be introduced to, which will provide you with some cashback. So 5% you get back on departmental stores and some other things. So 5% cashback, but it has to be some select services. You can just look that up on Google. And then I believe after that, if it's not the selected services, you get 1% cashback on everything else. So, you know, and that's a very good thing. You get 5% back, which is amazing. And then the other thing is that there is no such thing as an annual fee when it comes to Discover It. But again, with most of the cards that I'll be showing you after this one, they don't have annual fees either. I mean, it does seem awesome right now that you have no annual fees. This is, but you actually need a certain credit score. Like I said, like above a 620 is preferred. Usually you start off at 630, 640, so this is something that is definitely doable. But in case you can't, the Indigo, the Milestone, and the Capital One Platinum are still available, so just go for those. So these are some very good things about the Discover It. And then the cashback that you get, they keep on accumulating, and then as long as you don't disable your account, you can use that anytime you want to, and no annual fee. It's a great card, and all across. Oh, and one more thing I almost forgot. It has. Now is when we start with the APR clause. 0% intro APR. Now, an intro APR, think of it as the same thing as APR, except for the intro part. Intro meaning a certain period of time from the moment you open your account. Now, there's no universal amount of months as to what is referred to when we say intro, but when it comes to Discover It, I believe it's 14 months for which you have 0% APR. So in case you have an outstanding balance that you haven't paid, that you can't pay for the next year, and you get approved for this card, transfer your balance over to Discover It, and then you will not accumulate any interest for the next 14 months. So you'll have plenty of time to earn back your money, or however you get it. So 0% intro APR. And intro meaning, in this case, 14 months, as I've said, but after the 14 months pass, it has a certain APR rate. I think it's a range. I think it's from 17.99% or 15.99% all the way to 22.99%. But regardless, I hope APR is not an issue with you guys, because I trust that you guys will use all of this information for good and not for running away after maxing out your credit card bills. So APR will not be an issue to you or anyone as long as you pay your balances in full. So that's something that you don't need to worry about right now. The next card that I would like to talk about is the Bank of America. Cash rewards. Now, the numbers on this don't look nearly as awesome as the numbers that you just saw for Discover It, but nonetheless, Bank of America is something that I personally have an experience with, and they don't require a very high credit score either for you to get through. But nonetheless, you still get cash back. 3% back when it comes to groceries, and then 2% back when it comes to gas. They might be switched around, but anyways, just check it out on Google, and then you get 1% back on everything else. So, you know, this is not bad at all. Even if you're getting just 1% back on everything else, it's still a very good deal. I mean, if you don't go grocery shopping at all. If you do, then that's awesome. And if you get 2% back on gas if you drive a car, quite a bit. But these are some of the great things that you can definitely benefit from. Now, the other thing, again, no annual fee. And this is the first card that I actually held, which actually had a credit limit. So Bank of America, it's something that I would strongly recommend, but in case you don't have a credit score above a 620 or a 640, it's probably safer not to go for this. But once you work your way up to 630, 640, then definitely try for it, and hopefully it's going to work. And in case you really like this offer, and your parents, if you think your parents or your relatives would be interested in this, just ask them to apply on your behalf, and then ask them to put you in as an authorized user. That way, they will rack up the same percentages of points and cashback, while you can build up your credit score as a byproduct. So that's a pretty good thing. Now we're going to be talking about something that is a little complicated. So the two cards that I'm going to be mentioning are from Chase. So actually, let me use a different color for this. I think Chase deserves to have its name written in blue. So Chase, there are two kinds of cards. First is the Freedom and the Freedom Unlimited. Now, these are not the only two kinds of credit cards that Chase offers, obviously. They have many other credit cards. I think they have 13 total credit cards when it comes to just Chase alone, and then if you include airlines and things of that nature, and hotel, travel rewards and everything like that, you probably have even more than this, maybe even up to 50, I'm not quite sure. But these are two that's good for introductory and cashback as well. So Freedom and Freedom Unlimited, the main difference between them two are the amount of cashback that you get. So Freedom, you get 5% cashback on most selected categories for up to $1,500. For up to $1,500 that you spend on, the selected categories, and every 3 months. So in 3 months, you spend $1,500 on the categories that they mentioned, you'll get 5% back. Now, if you spend if you exceed this $1,500 curve, then what's going to happen is that it's going to translate into a 1% cashback. So let's say you went over and you went over to your 3 month, at the end of your 3 months, your balance was $2,000. You get 5% cashback for your $1,500 that you first spent, and then after that, for the other $500, you get 1%. So it's not bad at all. It's a pretty good card. But in case you spend a lot, this is probably not right for you. But I'm assuming that you're going to be just starting out building your credit and getting credit cards. If that is so, then Freedom is something that you definitely want to try out, because your credit limit is it might not even be a $1,500 in the first place. Your credit limit just might be an $800 or a $500. Preferably a $500. That way you will never be exceeding your $1,500 limit, and that way you'll probably never be getting anything less than 5% cash back, which is a pretty good thing too, nonetheless. So this is one thing. This is the only thing that's different from the Unlimited. The Unlimited, on the other hand, provided us with I think this is newer than the Freedom. The Freedom existed before the Unlimited, but the Unlimited, they give you 1.5% cash back on absolutely anything, like regardless of what you buy. 1.5% cash back, that's back in your pocket. If you have a relatively good credit score, my recommendation would be get a Freedom Unlimited. But if you have a very good, actually not very good, if you just have a good credit score, apply to both. That way, for the first $1,500, you can spend it with your Freedom, and then every purchase after that, just spend with your Unlimited, and then you get 0.5% cash back more than the 1%, as opposed to whatever is provided by the Freedom. And that way you can switch in between these. But if you're just starting out, my recommendation would be start off with Freedom, and then Unlimited. I mean, you could still go for that 1.5% cashback isn't a bad thing, and none of these have annual fees anyways. So, you know, there's nothing being taken away, and these are unsecured cards as well, so there's no input of money that you have to worry about. It's just as they are. So, these are some of the cards that I think would be great for you to start off with. These are relatively tougher to get than the ones that I mentioned prior to them. I actually did go in ascending order when it came to the rate of rejection. So hopefully you're going to get approved for some of the unsecured ones. Now the benefits, I think by now you know the benefits that you get from an unsecured card as opposed to secured cards. Secured cards don't typically provide you with any cash back. Of course, unsecured cards like the ones that I mentioned, Discover It, Chase, Bank of America, Freedom Unlimited, all of them provide you with some sort of cash back. And most of the time, even if it's not cash back, unsecured cards usually provide you with points which you can use towards travel, dining, and other expenses, or hotels. And secured cards usually don't have that, but nonetheless, it's good. It's good for starting off building your credit. And annual fees, secured cards will almost always have them. APRs, the unsecured cards usually have an intro APR rate, which is usually 0%. So for the first intro period, you don't accumulate any interest in case you don't pay off your balance in full every single month. But when it comes to your secured credit cards, they have a fixed APR. So from the get-go, you will be paying an interest in case you don't completely pay off your credit card debt at the end of the month. So these are just some of the comparisons that I've made, and hopefully this will help you guys make a wiser choice when it comes to choosing your credit card. Hopefully this helped you guys, and I'll see you next time.